Supergirl Season 1 had a lot of negativity surrounding it by fans of Supergirl and by just the media in general. While Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 95, it still remains to have a 6.5 on IMDb, and really a lot of people don't like this show. So when I started Supergirl, I kind of came in apprehensively. I didn't think it was going to be great. I didn't think it was going to be entertaining. And surprisingly, to a certain extent, I was upset that or I wasn't upset, but there was an upset to figure out that the show's actually got some great content in it. Not all of season one is bad. The majority of it's actually great, but there are moments in season one that make you think, oh man, this is cheesy. But you have to remember, Supergirl is a completely different character than other characters that have been portrayed on television, especially superhero characters. You look at Arrow, the Green Arrow. They portrayed him in a dark way. You look at the Flash; it's still a relatively dark way, even though it's a little bit more peppy. You look at Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. All those shows very dark. So whenever Supergirl comes in, and whenever Supergirl wants to be a TV show that's more of a lighter tone, not everybody's gonna like it. So I'm not gonna say this show is for everybody, but I will say that you should give this show a chance. Season one has a lot going for it. I really think that Melissa does a good job. Melissa Benoist does a great job portraying Kara Danvers or Supergirl. I mean, really, she's perfectly cast for the character. She's like Stephen Amell for Oliver Queen, or Charlie Cox for Daredevil. It just happened that she's probably the best actor. She's the most well cast actor for the job as Kara Danvers, and I really do like seeing her storyline throughout the show, and seeing her develop and grow as a character as she goes from just this person working at Catco to being a superhero. I really do like James Olsen as well. He's a great character in the show, and I really like the direction they took him in season one. But I do not like the James Kara Wynn love triangle. As I said, this show is supposed to have a lighter tone, but at the same time, I felt like sometimes this show's drama weighed down the actual plot and made it less entertaining. And so whenever you go into season one of Supergirl, expect there to be a few times where you cringe a little bit at the character drama as far as relationships, but you'll be reminded pretty soon after that the action sequences, the actual character development, and the actual characters are interesting. And actually, one of the most surprising things I, at least, had surprising experiences I had watching Supergirl season one is the wonderful arc they give John Jones. He goes from this character who you don't really know about. You just think he's a hardened person working at the DEO, hardened head of the DEO, Hank Henshaw, to understanding that he's actually an alien refugee, John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, and that he is under fire a lot of the time, and he shouldn't be, and it's because he's actually trying to help out the aliens. And so it's very interesting to see the whole John Jones Martian Manhunter storyline, and see how that helps out with or not really helps out, but how that connects to Kara and Alex's storyline. And another character that's really well fleshed out in season one is Kara's sister Alex. She's a very interesting character. She has some great character moments with Kara, and she's a very, I'm glad that they didn't just make her, oh, that's Supergirl's sister. They actually made her own character and added to it. But the thing that bugs me the most about Supergirl season one is not the characters. They're good characters. Well, not the protagonists per se. But what bugs me is the villains. They are not very entertaining. And I think it's because this show is trying to figure out what it was, and so they didn't really have time to put together a cohesive plot when it came to the main villains. Now, a few of the minor villains are cool, like Livewire and the Banshee, and I really did like the episode with Red Tornado. But as far as Astra and her husband, Non, and Indigo, of course, those characters are very lame villains, and as much as I thought a lot of their abilities were cool, they just weren't cool villains at all. But that that's where the show struggles. It struggles just like the Marvel films struggle to provide a good villain. Supergirl season 1 struggles to provide good villains as well for the most part. There is standout episodes in season 1 where there's that are particularly good. I would have to say Truth, Justice, and the American Way is definitely an episode that stands out. The episode we figure out Red Face, where we meet Red Tornado, is a standout episode. The episode with where Kara loses her powers is a very good episode. I really do like it. I believe it's entitled, let me see what this is entitled. Human for a Day. That's a really good episode, and it's funny because Human for a Day, you didn't expect it to be a good episode because Supergirl without her powers, how's that going to be entertaining? But you see Kara, sort of had to, at her lowest point, and see her character really fleshed out this episode. It's a very good episode. Also, I would say the other amazing standout episode that I didn't expect to be good, I honestly was going to skip over it on, because I was binging this show on Netflix, is For the Girl Who Has Everything. And this episode, basically, Kara gets possessed by a parasite, and she believes she's back in Krypton. And, I was going to skip over this episode because I didn't think it would be relevant, but it was actually very entertaining. And the storyline was very emotionally fueled, and it was actually one of the best episodes of the series, so I'm glad I actually watched it. So, what I would say, I would have to give the final score, I guess, for season 1. I'd have to give it an 8.0. It wasn't the best, for sure. There's a lot of stuff they could have worked on. There's a lot of, the villains weren't good. The plot wasn't centralized enough. But I feel like the overwhelmingly positive performances by all the protagonists, the heart and soul, the difference in the dynamic of the characters in this show compared to a show like Arrow, the difference, and the general levity of the show that sets it apart from other superhero shows is enough to watch it, and that's why I had to give it an 8.0, because despite all the bad, there's plenty of good with Supergirl Season 1. So, I hope you've enjoyed my review for Season 1 of Supergirl. Remember to check out my reviews for Season 2 that I am releasing now. Go check out Supergirl. You may like it, you may not, but you'll never know till you see it, and don't buy into those reviews that just say it's the worst show in the world. Those are just from people who have watched the other shows and do not like the tone of this show, but like the tone of other shows such as Daredevil and Arrow, which it's fine, but I like both. I honestly do. So just give it a shot. You'll like it. I'd give it an 8.0 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed my review. Remember to like and subscribe for more. This has been Jonesy from Joneser TV signing off.